So here I have with me Kelvin, and we are at his home. So you're going to be getting a very, very real interview. And the whole purpose of this video is to share with you Kelvin's life story. So here I have with me Kelvin, right? So you may not know him because he's a Singaporean, but I know him, and I think he has a very interesting story to share with you. And if you want to start investing, or if you're already investing and you want to do it very, very well, he's one of the best investor that I know, and also very remarkable because he has done it in such a young age. He also has a company that is training people on how to invest, and a lot of feedback I've been getting on how he's able to help his clients make more money and understand how to invest much, much better, even from people that are already investing and have been getting good results. So how are you, Kelvin?
Thanks, Ming Tek, for getting me on board. Really excited and heard a lot of things about you as well. I think the reason why I would like to invite you to my home to conduct this interview as well is like I feel very comfortable with you. I feel very comfortable with what you're doing, and especially would like to support your mission to really get a lot of investment knowledge out there. So I'm ready to share my story. So can't wait. I think this will be a very exciting interview.
So this is also the first time where I will be listening to a lot of the questions I'll be asking him later are questions that I myself want to know. So actually I already know him for a couple of years, but I do not know him very in-depth yet, and this video interview is the opportunity. So again, my favorite question to ask someone that I think is successful is, what actually drives you to be successful? And I believe a lot of people, the success story, the hunger, the ambition, which is something that I think not easy to get, usually starts in their childhood. So can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and what propelled you to do something different? Because you're not doing something that's ordinary. So what made you different from your childhood?
That would actually cause me to think back then, right? You know, like back then when I was in primary school, I was really someone that's really very cocky. I would easily get a lot of A's. I would pass my exams with flying colors. And I was born to think that I was a genius. I didn't have to put in a lot of effort to study. So in Singapore, we have this examination called a PSLE. That's called a primary school leaving examination. Okay, and if you get good marks, you go to express stream. And express stream meaning the next stage of education, you just need to take 4 years. But if you don't do well, you will go to normal academic stream, and that would be 5 years. So you have 1 extra year over there. And when I took my PSLE, I was cocky. I didn't study at all, and I thought I would do well. But unfortunately, on that day where I received my result, I witnessed my first kind of defeat in my life. I thought that I was supposed to go express, but I ended up in normal academic. I was so ashamed. I just went back home. I was crying as a young boy in this room, and I told myself, you know, like I thought I would definitely do much better. And when I went to normal academic, I went to a school that's actually quite well off. So being an outsider from where I was, you know, I suddenly felt a sense of inferiority complex because a lot of my friends, they are wealthier than me. They visited a lot more countries than me. They had a lot more wealth as well. So as I grew up, I started to have this self-awareness, and I started to feel very inferior, you know. First time I went out with my classmates, all of them were wearing branded clothing, and I just felt like I'm just nobody, okay? But that didn't really affect me a lot until, you know, when I was much younger, something happened in my life. You know, like growing up in Singapore, just like a very typical family, not very well off or also not very poor, just, you know, okay to go by, right? But I think my family actually went through a episode whereby we were under a lot of financial stress, and at that point of time I just realized that why do we have to even go through all this stress, and why is even money a concern? And because of that kind of like affected my outlook in life, is that I felt that if I had all the money in the world, I could solve all the problems that I have. So from very young, I just wanted to run away from a lot of financial uncertainty that I was going through. I just wanted to make as much money as possible. And I also grew to be someone that's very competitive, because the fact that I had to spend an additional year in normal academic as compared to express, you know, I thought to myself as an underdog, I just want to make as much money as possible. So I guess my motivation was really from fear. I fear that, you know, one day if I do not have money, I would starve to death. Okay, I just had this painting in my mind, this visualization in my mind, and that kind of like keeps me up awake every night, and I just try to make as much money as possible.
Okay, so because you tell me the story that you were having your family were having some financial stress when you were young. In that period, if you would like to elaborate more, that would be good. But in that period, have you ever felt poor before? Like, I know you don't feel rich because other people have branded things, but have you ever feel that, you know, money is not enough, that up to the point that even standard security like food could be under danger?
I think looking back, my family was alright, right? So the only reason why I felt that I was insufficient because I was comparing myself with people who are much more wealthier, and I grew up comparing myself with a lot of my friends. So for example, every start of a new term, my friends would come back to school and tell me that they visited Japan, Canada, Europe, United States. And all I knew about all these countries is what I've seen in the magazine, right? I've never experienced it. When they talk about it, you know, I was just filled with a lot of jealousy, envy. Like, I wish I could have a life like that as well. But I wasn't really that poor. But I think what made me fearful is a lot of comparisons that were made. So in some way, I also put myself in a situation where I felt that I needed to do very well. But in terms of being poor to an extent where I have no food, I think that's not an issue. Yeah.
So it's safe to say that the thing that is driving you is your sense of competitiveness.
Correct.
Competitiveness, and number two is you are looking for security.
Correct.
So it's not really that, you know, you want the money for, you know, sports car, everything. It's just that you're someone by nature, you're already competitive, but number two, you understand the importance of money to give you security, and that's why you're doing so many.
Yeah, I felt that if I had all the money in the world, I could really just solve all the problems and I wouldn't have any problems. So that was a very naive thinking, but that thinking kept me going on, you know, when I was very young. And that thinking led me to do several businesses as well. So like I say, you know, when I went out with my friends, they were all wearing branded clothing. So what did I do, right? I went to Orchard Road, that's like a shopping district in Singapore. I took down the prices of all the items that the branded clothing, right? Like for example, Armani shirt, that's about $90. Fredberry polo tee, that's about $120. I memorized everything in my head, you know. And when it comes to year-end sales, I'll go to the United States. I'll purchase them at a fraction of a price, convert the thing, bring it to Singapore, and let's say for example, Armani exchange shirt probably costs about $90, right? But when I purchase it, it's probably about $40, and I'll sell it at $70. So I kept doing that business quite a lot, and to an extent, I generated over $15,000.
Can I cut you there? So you are selling those clothes to who?
To customers that I found on forums. So I would purchase the clothes, I'll take very nice pictures, I'll show them it's authentic, I'll show them the receipts, and you know, I actually advertise on forums, and that allowed me to make quite a bit of money. And also what I realized was that I joined contests, because contest is basically free money, right? At the point of time, Facebook was just growing. Many businesses, right? They created pages, they want to advertise the products, they want to be well known. So in a way, they are actually attracting more likes. So one way to attract more likes is by running competition. So what I did was that there's a website in Singapore that tracks all the contests on Facebook. So what I found out is that contests could actually give out like free watches, free laptops, or like electronic gadgets, like free iPhone, stuff like that. So I found out those companies that are not very popular, but they still are giving generous prices like iPhone, like laptop, stuff like that. And let's say the competition period is about 3 weeks, but I will only join at the last week. Why? Because I want to gauge the number of responses. So let's say this contest, right? Tell me why you like brand X so much, and the top a comment will walk away with a free laptop. So by the end, like a few days before the contest end, right, I will look at the comments. How many comments are there? If there's only 8 comments, 9 comments, then I'll go and compete with it. So I'll write nicely, a very nice reply. I'll post it down there. But not only that, I work with my friends. So I tell my mom, my sister, hey, can you comment on that as well? And then I tell my friends, you know, I will give you what to type in. You just type in, and if you win, I'll let you take 30% of the prize money. I'll take 70%. So you see, 8 people participated, but you know, when I participated in, I bring in another 8 to 9 people. So my chances of winning is actually extremely high. So I did that kind of like contest for a while, and that got me over $800. So I made money through that way. But again, ultimately, I just realized one thing, right? When I was doing this business, it required a lot of effort. It required a lot of effort, and I was just working my ass off. And sometimes when I sell clothing, people might not even like I meet them, they say, oh, the size doesn't fit, I don't want to buy it anymore. And I take the time to travel, and that's a lot of wasted time. So subsequently, I just realized, hey, should probably learn how to invest as well. I'll share with you a funny story, right? So in Singapore, we have this thing called Polytechnic. So we go Polytechnic, you study hard, then you can get to university, right? But if your grade sucks, then, you know, unfortunately, you can't get to a good university. I knew that I already failed in secondary school because I went to normal academic, which was additional year. I don't want to ever go to a university that I don't want to. So I want to have the grades that I have a choice to say, this is the place I want to go, this is the course I want to go, and I can go in. You know, that is what I want to do. So during poly, I was very aggressive. I wasn't cocky anymore. I was just very humble, just really studying very hard and wanting to get the best result for myself. And best result means what? Being the top. That's what I want to do. So I competed really, really hard. But somehow, I always couldn't get to the top. You know, I was always ranked top 10, right? I wasn't always the top. And just, you know, and semester after semester, I kept, you know, I just somehow I couldn't get into the the first in the class, right? First in the cohort. And I just grew a bit frustrated. But what was I studying back then? I was studying fundamental analysis, I was studying about the stock market, I was studying about all these things. I just told myself,
if in your poly?
Yeah, in my poly.
Oh, okay.
So I just
asked myself,
Temasek Poly, yeah, so it's not bad. But I think importantly is that I realized that in studying, I could never win some people, however I tried. But I asked myself, is there anyone in the class or in the diploma cohort actually took what they have learned and really practice it, right? I mean, starting to invest as well. And I say, okay, this is a game that I can't play, why not I just play another game? Meaning I use what I've learned and I invested in a company. So I took about $1,400 to start investing. I was lucky because 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, that money actually, the stock actually went up by 16%. I made a couple $100. And again, you know, seeing is believing. And from that moment on, I knew that this is something I wanted to do for a long time. And that was the spark of everything as well. Yeah.
So actually, if you do not know, like if I've not heard this story, just by looking at, you know, because you have a disguise, you are wearing spectacle and you look like a very nice guy, everything. But after listening to your story, I can hear that deep down you're actually a very, very competitive person. Would you say you are quite competitive?
In anything I do, I want to be the best.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's the story, and that's why everything you always, you know, want to do something, one more, and you're still like that now.
Like even for today, I'm still always constantly learning. Funny, right? Because the more I learn, the more I think I should learn more.
Okay.
I just realized there's so many more things to learn, and throughout my life, I just kind of realized one thing, like what allowed me to become better over time is that this thing called reflection. What I mean by that, like every day, I try my best, like before I sleep, reflect. For example, back then in secondary school, I was really shy, right? I was a very obedient boy, and I got asked to be a class monitor. And class monitor, you have to do a lot of things for the teachers, stuff like that. You got to give speeches. You're gonna like help out in the class, and giving talks is not something I'm very comfortable with. So I know that I'm very bad at it, but exactly because I know I'm bad at it, when I went to Temasek Poly, I took a module on that. I tried to improve, right? And I know I'm not very good at sales, right? So over the years, I've been focusing on that. I know I'm not good at certain things, and every single time when I identify a gap in my life, there's certain skill set I don't have, but I think I need to have it. I'll always try to fill that gap. And you know, if I keep doing that for the next 20 years, 30 years, then overall I will be able to become a better person. And I think it's very important is that you should never fear about the gaps in your life. Like, all of us will definitely not be perfect people, but it will be a mistake to know that you have a gap but you refuse to acknowledge it, or you refuse to even act upon it. So something that I want to share with you as well is that I hope that I improve my Chinese. It's a gap that is still there for a long time. Yeah, but in terms of investment, again, I think there's a lot of still a long journey to become really a master in investing. So what I've done as well, I've been interacting with a lot of people in Asia, but starting in this year, I've been connecting with more Americans. So I just want to find out how they are thinking about the stock market. How did they choose what kind of companies to buy? So all my life is that I'm just trying to fill up the gaps in my life. And how do you do that? You need to reflect and you need to have the self-awareness. What are you good at and what you're weak at, right? A lot of people like to focus on what you're good at, right? But to be very effective in who you are as a person, and especially if you're running a company, you gotta have like several skill sets so that you can be an effective person. So really, sometimes you gotta focus on your weaknesses as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a very, very good insight into how he thinks and what is his principle in success and overall. And can I ask you, when was what age did you start doing your business, the Armani trading, and where do you get the capital?
Okay, I think that was around like 18 years old.
So the t-shirt business started so your first business, you started it at 18 years old?
Yeah, exactly. I think the idea was just very simple, not knowing, like, I always felt that as young people, like, if you wear a branded clothing, you would get more well recognized, you get more accepted. People feel that you belong to them, you're someone of a higher social status as well. So naturally, I just wanted to buy cheap, right? Because I'm not really wealthy back then. I can't be going to a shopping mall buying at $90, right? So that was how it is. I just realized if I go online, I buy, and even ship to Singapore, it's going to be even cheaper. So that I found a business opportunity. So
you bought online, you did not go US, right?
I did not go US. Okay. I just bought online, ship it back to Singapore, and just resell it. And also, how did I get my capital? I think I was pretty lucky when I was really young. I managed to get a job that pays me $11 per hour. Typically, people at my age back then would earn about $7 per hour. So I would earn quite a bit because I would volunteer to take out more work so that I work more hours, get more pay. And you see, if let's say I buy an Armani shirt for $40 and I sell it at $70, so what's my profit? It's $30. So every single time I have profits that's enough to make my next purchase, I will do it. So every single time my profits will get recycled to buy more inventory and ship it here, and the cycle keeps going on. So I used to keep a lot of inventory below my table, stuff like that. But there are some lessons as well. So for example, some brands are not like very well known. Some size you buy but you can't sell it, like L can't sell it, but M and S sells really well. So I think really in anything you do, you need to have money. And you got to save up money because whenever a business opportunity arises, you have no money, you can't take any action. Yeah.
Okay. I think this point, later we're going to tie it all together. And I think it has a lot to do with working hard and being frugal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You will see, later we'll be picking out more stories from him. And you understand why, despite being so successful, this is where we are having the interview. Like, if I'm him, because I'm definitely not him, I would have splurged the money, right? So we will ask more questions on that. So I think your lesson, can you share what kind of job did you do as a child or what? When was your first job? What was your first job?
So my first job is that in Singapore, after O-levels, most people will work as a waiter, waitress, and obviously I also went along with that line.
So that's 17 years old?
Okay, my maths is a bit bad, but I think around that
age, okay.
So after O-levels, I followed my friend, one of my friends called Terrence, say, hey, why don't we work at this restaurant? Then I said, okay, sure, let's work in a restaurant. As you know, restaurant maybe they don't pay well, but I think $7 per hour at our age is considered quite a bit already. But I just didn't like the culture. I didn't like how the trainings were being taught. And after 3 days, I do not know why and where did I get the courage. I just decided to quit. After 3 days, my first job. 3 days, I quit. Okay, and I went online. I discovered that this is a tuition startup, and they were thinking about recruiting more people to create questions for their teachers to use, like mathematics questions, stuff like that. So I was being selected, and back then I was being paid $11 per hour. So you see, if I compare with my friends, I'm actually earning about $4 extra per hour. And on top of that, I think my boss was very generous. During lunchtime, she would just hand out $10 to me. And I'll just take the $10 to buy whatever lunch I want, and the change, I'll pass it back to her, but she says she doesn't want it. So I'm being paid $11 per hour, plus the lunch is covered by her. So I was just saving a huge amount of money back then. And I started the clothing business. But I think when I went to Polytechnic, okay, so just want to share, in Singapore system is like a primary school, secondary school, Polytechnic, then you go to university, right? So back then when I went to Poly, I also wanted to do very well. I got myself involved in a lot of activities. To an extent, I told myself that I should stop my clothing business because I cannot guarantee that this clothing business is going to do well. In fact, I felt that the clothing business was just a very time-consuming way to make money, but it still made money, right? But do I want to do it for long term? I say definitely no. This is not what I want. What I want is to get a good grade, go to university, get a good job. That's all I want, right? And because of that, I decided to drop my clothing business altogether. Had about like 15k, 20k thereabouts, and that formed the basis of how I started investing. Because again, I didn't do well. I mean, I want to be the top, but I couldn't be the top. And after 2 to 3 semesters, I know that this is a game that I can't win. So I want to play a game that I can win, which is why I started investing, which all my friends are not doing. And that made some money, and things be living. And from then on, subsequently I went to army, and I had all this army pay, right, allowances that they pay me. But I saved really hard, and every time.
Was it good money, the army pay?
Not really.
More than $7 per what?
$700 per month.
Oh, that's not a lot.
Yeah, that's not a lot. So I took a lot of money. I took a lot of my army pay. I used to buy books, buy a lot of investment books. Every month I was just buying. And I can't wait for the day where I receive my army allowance so that I can buy more books. And I just kept reading.
Okay, another question. I see a lot of books at your home, like everywhere, scattered all around the house. So have you ever always have this habit of reading, or did you only start after you start to pick up investing? Because I see a lot of the books are investment books.
When I was really young, I think I didn't have a very good mentality. I was very negative. I was living in fear. I didn't kind of believe that life would be good to me. What I had in my mind was that life is going to be very tough in myself, for myself. So I actually bought this book called Your Erroneous Zone, okay? And that book itself has transformed my way, got me to become a way better person. And just reading a book and applying what were in the book transformed my life tremendously. And you see, I hated reading, but I saw how much the book could actually help in my life, or what the book did for me personally. Like, the book cost less than $20, but in terms of the quality of life that I've gotten, like before and after, has transformed tremendously. And also for me, when I started investing, I realized, if I were just to spend on this book and I acquired the knowledge, I spent this book maybe $20, and the knowledge I've gained could make me like $10,000, $2,000, $1,000. The ROI, the return on investment, is tremendous. And from that point of view, I realized that all I wanted is to make my mind smarter every single day. And this is why I would not ever save on investment books. I would always spend and invest, because what am I doing here? I'm investing in my brain. I always tell people today, right, if every single thing is being taken away from me, even my portfolio, my bank account, every single thing, would I be able to rebuild my life back again? I would say yes. It's all my mind. The wealth is in your head. The wealth is not in your bank account. The wealth is not in your portfolio. The wealth is maybe not even in the relationships, right? But the wealth is actually in your head. Do you possess that kind of skill set that allows you to make money for you to come back again? Like most people, I feel that when everything is being taken away from them, they feel shaky because they find the comfort in their bank account. They feel their comfort in the house. But when all these are taken away from them, they feel they're nothing, right? So for me, I just feel that if all these things are being taken away from me, as long as I'm my mind, as long as I'm willing to learn, my life would always be on an uptrend.
So can we say that book, your
Erroneous Ways,
yeah, is the first? Is it a self-help book, like on success mindset,
correct,
all this? Can we say that is a turning point? Reading that book is a turning point that made you propel you into
correct,
getting more knowledge,
correct,
and thinking, hey, maybe I'm not someone that is made ready. I'm someone that can keep on improving, and I can keep on, upgrading myself through books. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two is what you realize that the right book, if you buy it, whatever expense, however much the book costs, if it's a right book, you can get back tremendous ROI, and this ROI sticks with you. Nobody can take it away from you. Not only you benefit a lot, but this thing sticks with you, and nobody can take it away.
And I don't want to live my life making mistakes. I made enough. Of course in the future I'll make more mistakes, but reading books is really a cheap way to learn from people's mistakes. Like some people in life, they have made like pretty serious mistakes which cost them financially and emotionally as well. And I think that, just buy a book, $20, $30, learn from it, and you can just avoid like a lot of serious mistakes, right? In life, I think we can't avoid mistakes, but we can minimize the kind of mistakes that we want to make, and then we can be a much more successful person. And I think it improves the quality of your life as well.
And when do you pick up investing? Is it because of the poly you are studying? You are the first one that I know that picked up investing in school, like traditional school.
Yeah. I would say that one of the biggest motivation came from the lecturer, Mr. Daniel Ng. I think he was one of the very different lecturer, whereby he was formerly a fund manager, and every single time when he taught a module, it always filled with a lot of stories from his personal experience, from his corporate experience, and to me, it felt like investing is not just theory, but investing is alive. And based on that alone, he have always encouraged us to start investing and gave us a lot of book advice, book recommendation. I started reading it, all this content that was pushing out to us, and I knew that I had to go into it. I had to experience it for myself. So Mr. Daniel Ng made investing real to me, and from then I think I just picked it up naturally, and to me I'm glad I did, because unfortunately I would say 90%, even 95% of my cohort, even today, they are not investing. They see it as a way to just get good grades, right? But I see it as a way to make money. For me, again, I felt that when I was young, money could solve all my problems, and I was just thinking, anything can make money. Let's go and learn it. Let's go and do it. Let's make money. Go test it out. You wouldn't know, right? Yeah, test it out. In anything you do, just test it out. Yeah.
So in the same poly, his friends got a degree or diploma. His friends got a diploma, but he actually got a real education, which is learning the thing and applying it and making it real, rather than just theory, taking it for the test, right?
And I think a lot of people today, you ask them, do you know how to make money? I can tell you, like almost like 5%, 10%. I have nothing against like being employed, right? But being employed, are you actually learning how to make money, or are you learning how to be a good employee so that people will pay you money? People paying you money and you learning how to make money is different thing, right? When you invest in the property, you make capital gains. When you invest in stocks, you make capital gains. When you do anything else, you make capital gains. Yeah, I would say that's considered you know how to make money. But being employed, is it considered like really learning how to make money? No, you're just like learning to be paid for the work that you're doing. So it's a very clear differentiation, and it's a skill set that not many people are really focusing on. Most people just focus on building someone's dream. But if you don't build your dream, someone else, no one is going to build your dream for you. Yeah, it's just like that.
Good.
But really have to go and think about it seriously and just kind of like build this skill set out there.
So what was your first book on investing?
Okay.
It could be boring book because it is in poly.
Yeah.
Then you tell us what was your first book and what are your favorite books?
Okay, sure. The first book that I read in poly, kind of recommended by my lecturer as well. It's called One Up on Wall Street by legendary fund manager called Peter Lynch. I think what really got me interested in this book was that there's this story, they did an experiment to say that even kids in a class, and kids in class, in a classroom setting, if you ask them to select a group of companies and invest, and then you ask professional fund managers to select their own companies and invest as well, and you see the performance of these two groups, right? One are pure kids and one are professionals. And they demonstrated that the kids in the classroom were able to outperform the professionals. How can it be? Like the professionals is doing all this investing stuff for the last 20 years, but yet they underperform like kids, right? And it showed a clear path for me that it cemented me the idea that, I could be young, I could be maybe inexperienced, but can I make more money than the fund managers? I would say absolutely yes, because stories change my beliefs. I would say a lot of people have this self-limiting beliefs. They say that fund managers, because they are well-trained, they have been doing it for 5 years, 10 years, they would definitely always make more results than all of us. Is that true? A lot of times you ask yourself, like all the belief systems that we have when we are growing up, is it true? Like where is the basis of this belief system, right? And that itself made me believe that I could do well in investing. Because without that book, as my start, I would always feel that fund managers have an edge, you know. But what are the kids investing? Kids are investing in things that they are buying, like Nike, right? Things that are very familiar to them. They bought into it, they make a lot of money off it as well. Whereas professional managers, sometimes when you're smart, you try to be smarter, right? They buy in oil and gas, they buy in several companies, they buy in things that they don't even have a single clue. And here's the irony, right? Like, kids know nothing, but yet they choose to buy things that they are very familiar with, whereas very smart people buy things that they don't even understand, right? So that's a problem. So again, that book made me believe in my capabilities, and even though I'm inexperienced, I can have a fair chance to succeed in investing as well. And I think that book is a very good start. Like right now, like, what are my favorite books, right? Because in the last few years, probably 8 years already, that's quite long. Been experimenting with a lot of investing styles. I do turnarounds. I do buy blue chip stuff like that in the earlier days. But what I found out is that I gotta buy companies that with a growth profile, meaning they must able to demonstrate good growth. I mean, like 10%, or even like 30% on a year-to-year basis. I'm going for those smaller companies that have higher growth potential, and that itself, okay, that strategy alone, I think has made me over like $250,000 in the last 2 years. So this is something that I strongly believe in. So this book was, I mean, this idea, this strategy was from this book called like 100 Beggars. So 100 Beggars, this book, it kind of demonstrated one thing, right? It had a lot of examples in it, and show, like, you know, what over the last few years, especially in the United States, what are some companies that have grown 100 times? Like, if I buy a company at $1 and it goes out $100, 100 times, right? And it started to make me believe that there's such thing as 100 beggars that really truly exist out in the world. For example, if you look at Netflix, is it a 100 beggar? Yes, it is. You look at Monster Beverage, you look at Apple, these are companies that have gone up 100 times, right? And the only reason why they could grow so fast is that the business itself must be growing. And that was the light that I saw, is that I stopped buying companies that have no growth. I only go for companies that have growth profile, and I don't buy companies above certain market cap. I only buy companies that's below 500 million. So I set a very strict criteria, and over time I became a more focused investor. Okay, so this is the first book, right, 100 Beggars. But I have a second book that I really like. It's not a very well-known book. A lot of people do not know about it. This book is called The Winning Investment Habits of Warren Buffett and George Soros. And I think there was this chapter which changed my mind. Let's see. Okay, it's actually chapter 7. It says that you call that a position. So in this book alone, what I found out is that in our lifetime, we probably see only 1 to 2 or 1 to 5 good companies, like really the best opportunities out there, right? Maybe companies that are very small, that are growing very fast, they have very strong management, all these kind of things, right? And when you see an opportunity like that, do you bet like 5% of your position, 10% of your position, or do you want to go like 50% of your portfolio? So the title itself says that, you know, diversification is for the ignorance. If you really truly know what you're doing, then you're going to load up heavily. And many people, I think, in the finance world, they feel that if you diversify, you'll do well here and there. But I hold a different view. I feel that if you have 20 ideas, but you know your top 10 ideas are your best ideas, why do you even have to diversify to 20? Why not just hold 10? You might be doing well as well. So after reading this, I decided to say, you know, I'm not here to hold like 20 positions, not here to hold even 50 positions. I'm here to hold my top 5 positions. That means I choose the best of the best and I invest big time into them, right? And that helped me to accelerate my growth tremendously in terms of my portfolio. And I've been teaching people my methods as well, and they have been seeing results as well. So again, 2 books, 100 Beggars, The Winning Investment Habits of Warren Buffett and George Soros. I think this is a fantastic read.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in theory, we know, let's say after reading this book, we will know that, okay, we need to find companies that, you know, have a long track way of, you know, growth possible in an industry that can be big, even if they are number 1, is that significant and all? We know this in theory, but these are all case studies. Can you give us like 2 or 3 principles of how can we, what other things do we need if we want to apply this and be successful in them?
Principles as in
Maybe you need to be hardworking, or you need to be disciplined, or
okay, for me, the way I look at it is always being innovative, being proactive. So this is something that I advocate a lot in my community as well. Is what I call like pick up the phone. Okay, so this is like something that we emphasize a lot. So what do I mean? If you're analyzing something and you feel that you do not know about it, okay, you feel that there are some gaps that you have, what do? You pick up the phone, you try to call the management, ask for help, right? If you are analyzing this company and you realize another investor is buying into this company as well, and this investor probably holds about 5% of the company, pick up the phone, call the investor and ask him, what do you see in this company? Can we discuss about this idea? I think a lot of people see investment as a very private kind of like activity. But how I see it is that I rather look stupid but my portfolio is growing. But what are most people doing right now? They want to look smart in front of everyone. But even that the portfolio is bleeding, they don't care. They just look smart, right? So for me, I advocate, ask all questions. You are stupid, it's okay. Your portfolio is growing, are you happy? Yeah. People can say that, hey, you are so stupid for asking this question. But because of you asking this question, you learn a lot, you make a lot of money. So I guess pick up the phone, in essence, if you talk about it as a principle, it's really being very proactive about going out there and really getting the answers that you want. So that's first thing, right? Being proactive. But second thing is actually being open-minded. I think all of us as investors, we really have different perspectives of investing. Mintek, you might like this idea, I might not like the idea as well. And just realize that in investing there's no ego. You gotta be open-minded, you gotta like get different opinions from many investors, and that's how you do well. So I think really surround yourself with a group of strong investors. And if today I find an idea and I say, this idea is one of the best ideas that I probably have encountered in the last 6 years, and I keep it close to my heart, and I analyze it. Will I have like blind spots? Obviously, yes. But even if I share it with like 5 to 6 people, and if they don't do the research, right, would they have the conviction as me? No. But if they do the research, are they able to spot some blind spots which I probably may not have? Yes, right? And overall, your research process, your decision-making process becomes more robust, right? So 2 things, right? Being proactive by asking questions. Second is actually being open-minded. A lot of investors here today, they are not open-minded. They keep the ideas close to their heart. They don't share it out, But of course, you want to be very selective of who you want to share as well. Some people will just come to you and say, hey, I want to know what you're investing. And once they get an idea from you, they just broadcast it out to the world. Or after getting your idea, they don't kind of contribute back. So over time, you really want to see, hey, if I'm going to share the idea with this like ABC guy, right? A, B, C, like different people. Are these people really people who can value add to you back? If they are not, I'd rather not share the idea, because you did the work, you find the idea, and if you just go out there to share it, they're just leeching off your efforts, and I don't really like that. Yeah.
And by idea, what he means is the story to invest in a company with a name, right? That's what you mean by idea. That means this is a stock and this is why I want to invest in it. That's
like an idea in a sense, like a stock idea, like okay, I find this company, I think it's interesting, so that's an idea. Yeah.
Okay. So because because the pick up the phone thing, I think is something that is unique, because me and a lot of the people, I used to be practicing like that, and I'm still like that. I tend to be very shy, right? Especially Malaysian and all this. Where do you get this idea that I will go to the management, and what if they don't answer you, right? Will you still invest if it looks good on paper but you can't get to them?
I think it's not really a requirement, but of course, we can read whatever we want about the management by hearing the voice, hearing the passion, or hearing whether this guy is low energy, high energy. And sometimes when you talk to someone over the phone, you can feel the person, right? So you can feel whether he's genuine, whether he's consistent, things like that. So that really helps you to develop conviction. Again, that's not necessary for all the investors out there, but for me, I run a concentrated portfolio. I gotta know what I'm investing. I gotta like make friends. I gotta develop a relationship with the management. So I think that itself is very useful for me to develop the conviction. And so really that's not a requirement. And also, how do I even overcome that shyness? I think I always felt that my money is on the line, and when I invest, I'm investing like typically can range to like 80k or above in a particular stock. And if you're investing that amount of money, right, will you allow it yourself to feel shy to ask question? Obviously not, right? Because like if you don't have the if you don't ask that question, then what is 80k? You are investing in the wrong stock. Then you're gonna like lose money, right? So because of the nature of what I do and putting a lot of money on the line, it forces me to be more proactive, doing more due diligence, asking more questions. And I was trained as well. I was previously under a very capable individual who grew me up. At times, I think the training was very harsh. For example, when it's come to evening time, we're supposed to go home. But 1 hour before that, perhaps 5 p.m., he would just give me an investment idea. Say, Kelvin, can you take a look at this? And by 9 p.m., tell me whether this company should the fund invest in it. It's a lot of stress, right?
5 p.m. and you have to tell him by when?
9 p.m. And you know, some days I was already knowing that I'm going to go home early or going on time. But because of that, I had to do OT just like that. But did I mind? No, I think it's good training. And most importantly, during my time there, I was being trained to ask very sharp questions to the management. And I conversed a lot with the management. So I think it's also an occupational training that I gone through that allowed me to develop the confidence. But I think a lot of times it's not just necessary. Like even if today anyone did not go through the training I went through, could they have the confidence I have? Yes. Again, it boils down to your belief system. Do you believe that you are nothing in front of the management? But come on, right? Management are just people. It could be you, it could be me just running a business. They are normal people. But many investors don't see that. They think that they are inaccessible. They feel that when they're asking questions, they look stupid in front of management. But when we're investing in a company, aren't we thinking about making money? And if that phone call could make you more money, could allow you to develop more confidence, wouldn't that be worth all the trouble, right? At the end of the day, what's the worst that could happen? I think a lot of people have this kind of like self-limiting beliefs that kind of prevented them from making results. I think a lot of times I'm not really exactly very smart. I was just doing the things that many people are doing, but I just had a mindset that, you know, I'm here to win, I'm here to get information, I'm here to get as much information as possible, because that allows me to piece a puzzle and the puzzle looks clearer to me. When the puzzle looks clearer to me, I'm able to develop the conviction. I'm going to bet big, I'm going to make a lot of money. And that is how I've been doing for the last 3 years.
Okay, good. So the secret, your secret that a lot of people can practice to be more proactive is put a bigger position, then the thing get real. So, you know, you will be more caring about the position, you take care of it more, you ask management and you have more breakthrough.
So again, I don't think that's necessary, but if you have a small position, then you probably not want to do that. But I think it's a good experience, because if you develop a relationship with management over time, the relationship gets better. You are able to understand the management much better, and I think you put your heart at ease, and make 100 bagger. That's the aim, right? So this is how this is one of my hacks to know whether this company is a 100 bagger, you know. So I think sometimes I would ask questions like, where do you see the company? Where's your vision? You know, sometimes the management say, oh, we are pretty happy with what we are doing. Let's see how it goes. You know, when I hear that, obviously I'll just sell the company, even though the numbers look good. I mean, I would sell when
price is good.
The price is good, right? But when the management tell me that when the price is good, this company will be the first one that I'll sell it away. Why? The management feels complacent, right? Doesn't want to grow the company. And can the business grow well over time? When I invest in a business, I want to make like 5 times my money, right? So if I call management and say, this is just the beginning of our growth trajectory, I think there's a lot more room to grow, and this is how we're going to do it. Point 1, point 2, point 3, very clear, a lot of clarity. I'll say this guy is something that I'll keep for a long time.
This is golden. I mean, for a serious investor that want to improve your RI, I don't think you can get this from any book. Can you share, if it's convenient for you, can you share 1 or 2 more tips of how can you ask sharper questions to the management?
I think a lot of times we live in a capitalistic world, right? So if a management makes a lot of, if a company makes a lot of money, then it would attract competitor, right? If this company is making 40% margins, well, if I think I can start a business that's similar, I want to go in, right? And if I compete with a business, the business would like to remain profitable. What will they do? They want to drop the price so that customers still buy from them, right? But overall, the margin will drop. So I will always say this, right? What can you do that others can't? You know, so that's one, right? If it's able to articulate that very, very well, and I find that, that's reasonable. That's not like bullshit. A lot of times when I hear that, they talk about doing this, doing that, but honestly, I think that's not really true. First question: what can you do that others can't? Okay. And the second thing that I would always ask, let me think. I have a couple of questions in my mind right now. I would always kind of like, again, I talk about the questions about, let me think. Wait, your question is like what, 2 questions, or I usually ask the management, right? Okay.
Or if you want to skip, we can skip also.
Okay, so this question that I asked, right? I will always tell them like, where do you see yourself in the next 4 to 5 years? And is there a possibility where the business can grow 2 times, 3 times its size? It's very, very important. If the management think that's a bit hard, of course, I think it's really important for you to develop a relationship with the management. So I talk on very friendly terms, and I always tell them, I'm not here to ask for any guidance. I'm not here to ask any future revenues, and I don't want to go to that space because that could be like insider information. But if you could tell me, where do you think this business will be in the next 5 years? Could it be 2 times, 6 times its size? Then if they say yes, probably yes, it's doable. Then I know, okay, this manager have in mind that this business is going to grow for long term.
So in the end of the day, you want to ask questions to pick out ideas on whether this company can, number 1, grow, but number 2, grow at a pace where they can protect their profit margin.
Correct.
These are the 2. So you want to ask questions that revolve around these 2 things using your own way.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So can I ask, who is your idol or people that you think you aspire to in investment as well as business? Can you name a few that our audience can go ahead and follow after this, or watch some of their videos, book, if available?
I think I'm going to disappoint the viewers on the part of investing, because